Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frank Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting our local community. We have shed light on injustices and we have allowed for our platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. If this is something that you can see yourself supporting, we ask that you like, comment, and share this live feed. Now, as of late, our Facebook page is at risk of being taken down. The powers that be do not want you, the voter, the constituent, to know the truth. But remember, we will not be silenced. If you're really about the cause and you want to stand up to corruption and you want to hold our elected leaders accountable, well, make sure you subscribe to our social media platforms. You can subscribe to 3 of our platforms. We're streaming live on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can find us there under Frank Olivo. On Facebook, we're under Frank Olivo as well. And also, we ask that you subscribe to YouTube. We could be found under Frankie Olivo TV. Currently, right now, we just reached the 700 subscriber mark for YouTube. Our goal, Brownsville, is to reach 1,000 by the end of the year. So I have my work cut out for myself. I have to average a little bit over 50 subscriptions from here to December. I will never, ever ask you for money. I will never, ever ask you for food. Well, depends what you're making. All I ask, ladies and gentlemen, is for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel under Frankie Olivo TV. Remember, Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. religiously. So make sure you subscribe to Frankie Olivo TV on YouTube to tune in. Remember, we will not be silenced. And always remember, Brownsville, I am forever grateful to each and every one of you for the time and the attention that you provide us. Thank you so much for that. How we doing, chat? How we doing? Happy hump day. One day closer to Friday. Some people are still on vacation mode. Back to reality probably hasn't set in for a lot of people. Everybody starts to get back into the thick of things. I say next week. By next week, the 21st, that's when everybody starts getting back into it. We have been previously talking about a tragic event that has left the city of Brownsville mourning. The tragic death of a 4-year-old at a preschool. Many people have criticized this platform for even discussing this in detail. At the end of the day, we want to be your source of information. While we understand that this subject matter is very delicate, it is a tragedy. Unfortunately, this incident in question has become the blueprint, the example for other preschools and daycares. It's unfortunate that the loss of a 4-year-old now has everyone at daycares and preschools on their toes. We always try to get something positive out of a negative. I think that's what life is all about learning. The death of baby Logan will serve as an example for years to come. Procedures and protocols will be followed because of this event. And it's unfortunate that the loss of a child is the reason why people will now be doing what they were supposed to be doing. We covered the passing of this child. We covered the funeral as well. People criticized us. The family does not need that right now. They are grieving. They are mourning. We understand. But Good Morning Brownsville was asking and encouraging the community to donate. There was a GoFundMe page, Golden Corral, Juarez Promotions, Juarez Boxing Elite Promotions did have a fundraiser. They were selling shirts, and all the proceeds were given to the family, the Urbina Garcia family. our platform isn't to bring up an old wound. That's not our job. Our job is to bring awareness. Our job is to encourage people to give back. And that is what we want to do. We want to give back to our community. We want to make our area, Brownsville, Cameron County, South Texas, better than what it was yesterday. We mean no ill will by us talking about these matters. At the end of the day, Good Morning Brownsville does provide information. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be following up on yesterday's story. Yesterday's topic was that the owner of this preschool was in court on Monday. The defense team did subpoena her to testify in regards to that tragic day. What was she doing? Where was she at? What are the procedures and protocols after a field trip? Many people have asked me and questioned, why does this woman that was arrested, why did she receive such a low bond? We learned that she had an ICE detainer. And we reported that shortly after she was arrested. She retained counsel. Her attorney did an attorney surety where no money is given, where the attorney promises that the client would be in court each and every time. But something happened. When the attorney went to go post bond, they didn't let her out because of the ICE detainer. The attorneys representing the defendant, Karin Silva, are former State District Judge Elia Cornejo Lopez and Noe Garza. That is who is representing Karin Silva. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk about Silva's status here in the United States. We found out through the grapevine that Karin Silva is in the United States unlawfully. We have seen how ICE and Homeland Security have been raiding local establishments, tire shops, restaurants, construction sites. And they have been rounding up people that do not have legal status in this country. We have seen and have been seeing examples of here locally of what has happened to the owners of those establishments, of those businesses. And that is what we want to talk about a little today. Karin Silva was in the United States unlawfully. And we anticipate that the owner of that establishment will be seen or will be facing penalties very, very soon. Why do we say this? Well, we saw this in Los Fresnos at the bakery. We have seen this at Delia's Tamales in Hidalgo County. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about a preschool owner that we anticipate will be facing penalties in the very near future. And that is how we will start today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in, Brownsville.
Back now with continuing coverage on the daycare hot van death of a child in Brownsville. Today we learned one of the accused is currently in ICE custody. She appeared in the Brownsville Municipal Court. Channel 5's Stephanie Rosales was there for today's hearing. Stephanie, what do we know about her?
Today, we learned that Karin Silva is being held on an ICE detainer. While she did post bond, she has been in custody since her arrest. Now, here outside of the Learning Club preschool, we can see that the memorial that was set up for Logan Urbina is no longer here. The flowers, balloons, and teddy bears have all been cleared. Today, Karin Silva appeared in a Brownsville courtroom wearing a maroon jumpsuit and handcuffs. Her attorneys tried to get her charges of injury to a child causing death dismissed. They claimed there wasn't enough evidence. That motion was denied by the judge. But during that hearing, a witness was called to testify on behalf of the state. She was also identified as a daycare employee who was also a part of the Los Fresnos Safari field trip that led to Logan Urbina's death.
The co-pilot was Celine Ruiz. I was also driving a caravan.
That daycare employee told the judge she was driving another van filled with kids. Karin Silva was the driver of the van 4-year-old Logan Urbina was in, and Sandy Ruiz, the other suspect in this case, was Silva's passenger. She said the daycare trains employees on field trip protocols. Under that training, drivers are the ones required to check the seats once arriving at the daycare.
So are you trained and supposed to look at all the seats under and on the seats as well?
Yes, sir.
Are you supposed to go through every row and make sure that there's no children there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you said the driver's supposed to be doing that?
Yes, sir.
She goes on to say that passengers are the ones who are responsible for getting the kids off of the van and doing the head count. Silva's defense argued there was more than just the two women in charge of Logan that day.
Does it appear to you that at snack time, nobody determined that Logan was not around? They missed him, right?
That employee said she was the one who first noticed Logan was missing. Also in the courtroom was the owner of the Learning Club preschool. The defense subpoenaed her to testify. They plan to ask her about the training daycare employees received. However, the request was denied after her attorney argued her testimony could be used against her. As we reported, Logan was left in the daycare van for around 5 hours after the daycare went on a field trip.
Starting all this talk about the trainings, I mean, nobody needs, no adult needs training to tell you that it's wrong to drive a bunch of little kids and not make sure that they all got out. And
We did reach out to ICE to learn more about Silva's ICE custody. We are still waiting to hear back from them. We'll let you know what we learned on air and online at krgv.com. Live in Brownsville, Stephanie Rosales, Channel 5 News.
Again, we have been seeing how Homeland Security and ICE have been raiding not just South Texas, but all throughout the country. President Trump and his administration have been very swift and quick to take action. While many people have been criticizing this, Congressman Vicente Gonzalez has stated that this has affected our local economy. President Trump is saying that it is his quest to protect national security, to protect our borders. At the end of the day, in the long run, he is saying that this will benefit Americans moving forward. Now, this case, while tragic in nature, has caused many people to question what were the procedures, what were the protocols, were there licenses, were these employees trained, properly trained? Did they receive any type of certification? One would think that individuals that are employed to watch over the most precious thing that we have in this world, our children, that they would be properly instructed, not just once a year, possibly quarterly. We think that these mistakes should not happen. This is a mistake that the parents will always remember, and all parties involved will always remember. This is a burden that everyone carries. yesterday I got a phone call from an individual that was worried about this incident. Many people have argued and stated, why is this establishment still open? Why is it still in operation? We have talked previously about how the cost of living is unbearable. Back in the good old days when I was growing up, we always had somebody at the house, whether that was grandma, grandpa, mom or dad. We always had somebody to watch over us. If not, it was a tío or a tía or an older cousin. We did go to daycares, but it was something like last resort. Now times have changed. Now mom and dad need to go out to work. The household cannot depend on solely one income here in South Texas. Many questions still are lingering in regards to this establishment, in regards to the licenses, in regards to the protocols. And that is something that the defense team wanted answers to. That is why they subpoenaed the owner of the Learning Club preschool, her attorneys, I apologize, Noah and Nat Perez did go before the judge, and they did state that it would be against their client's best interest to testify, because anything that she would say would be held against her whenever Ms. Silva has her day in court. The judge agreed and denied the defense team, Karin Silva's defense team, request to subpoena her. One thing that has also been brought to light is how much were these individuals, how much were they getting paid? It's hard to fathom. It's hard to wrap your mind around an individual that was making $10, $15. I think teachers at BISD, Wrestling Hair Guy, we'll be talking about BISD on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I got to check with my production team, but I think we'll be doing a story on Friday. So if you could tune in on Friday at 9 a.m., we'll have more information in regards to that and other matters regarding BISD. Thank you so much, Wrestling Hair Guy, for tuning in. Where was I? When we talk about BISD and the school districts, usually now I think the first year teachers are getting paid in the mid 50s, which if we calculate that equates to $30 an hour, give or take. And those teachers, they're dealing with hundreds of students on a daily basis. And now the generations that we have today are out of control. There's no respect for our elders. The consumption of illicit substances it's unimaginable. Back then, growing up, it was just weed and cocaine. Now it's so many different variables. I wanted to talk today about Ms. Karin Silva in detail because now it is learned that she does have an ICE detainer. How much was she getting paid? And look, I'm not here to poke fun. I'm not here to belittle. That's not my job. My job is to ask questions, to start the discussion. My role before you is never to convince you. My role is to give you the black and the white, the good and the bad, stay away from the gray area, and let you decide on how you think or how you feel on this certain issue. How much was Karin Silva being paid? It is important to note that this defendant in this case, let me see, I do have a message. My mom's friend got a job at a daycare in Alton Glore area beginning of the year, but she quit her job due to having kids tied up like pets. She saw it wrong, and I don't know why she didn't report it, but it was wrong treating kids like that. I'll get you the name of the daycare later this week. Will City of Brownsville be checking all daycares? Mistakes like this can't happen. Will all daycares have the right staff? I guarantee you that a lot of daycares have unprofessional staff taking care of our kids. And again, thank you for the message. Again, this tragedy of this 4-year-old is going to be an example for all daycares, for all preschools, not just in the city of Brownsville, not just in Cameron County, but throughout the state of Texas, throughout the country. This made the news, unfortunately. We are going to see how owners, managements of these type of establishments, how they review, modify their procedures, their protocols. Why? Because they do not want this to happen. They do not want the weight of the law to come down on them. We talked previously how after the death of a child in these type of daycares, preschools, well, there is an investigation done by the Texas Health and Human Services Department. They want to get down to the bottom of this. And it is true. Con todo lo que está pasando, with everything that's happening in this world, and the problematic issues that is not having enough money, and adding personal problems could take away from a person being concentrated. And there have been many people that have questioned, for 5 hours, how did the employees go 5 hours without not doing a head count? Yesterday's story we talked about, and we asked the question, should the owner of the establishment be charged also with neglect? I got another message this morning. Let me read it because it is pertinent to what we're talking about. It said, good morning. Due to my work schedule, and this was received at 7:45 a.m. Good morning. Due to my work schedule, I'm not able to join your YouTube channel regarding baby Logan case. Once children get dropped off at the daycare, returning from field trips or after school, it is a responsibility of the director/assistant director to make a final walkthrough to check for any children or things left behind. Now, when you put children down for a nap time, each child has a cot or a mat. Didn't the children notice that that Logan's mat cot was empty? I work for a daycare. I hope this sweet angel gets justice. And that's a very good point. I never thought about that. Never did I think about that because, again, there was a field trip. They left at 8, got there at 8:30. They were there until 11. They returned back to the preschool on Paredes Line Road at 11:30. That is around lunchtime. And usually, again, I haven't been in a daycare in many years, but usually after a field trip, they go out to eat. We anticipate, since they got back to the preschool around lunchtime, they ate. And what happens after we eat? Well, we want to take a little nap. And this individual that sent me a message makes a great point. Why did it take them 5 years? 5 hours, which probably felt like 5 years. Delanque says that there's possibly many reasons why a person isn't concentrated. There's problems, money issues. But ultimately, many people are saying it's because of the phones. In today's world, we're just like this. A ver qué dice el face. Well, it's easy for us to play Monday morning quarterback. We want to talk about the status of Karin Silva. An individual called me, a concerned citizen called me yesterday, and she said, Frankie, I want you to look into this. What was the status of this individual? Why does she have an ICE detainer? Can you please look into it? I said, sure, of course I will. But before that, she brought up an interesting point. She said, did this individual have asylum? Now, what is an asylum seeker? An asylum seeker is a person who has left their home country and is seeking international protection in another country, specifically requesting that they be recognized as a refugee. And there are many reasons, or there are several reasons of why an individual would be granted asylum. And just to be clear, I am not an attorney. I am not a legal expert, such as Minerva Peña claims she is. I do not know the law. I am just speaking as a layperson. But from my experience, political asylum is usually through political purposes, and also if you could prove to a judge that your life is at risk because of cartel activity, if you were kidnapped, if your family is being persecuted. An interesting case happened a few years ago. This is Karin Silva in Matamoros. She went to the district attorney in that city across the pond, and she made some serious allegations against her former husband, the father of her baby girls. She asked the authorities for help. Why, you may ask? Well, there were allegations made by Karin Silva that the father was sexually abusing her baby girls. She went on the record and she says, I am Karin Aish Silva Cisneros, and I'm making this public outcry allegation because there have been no action taken on the part of the authorities to investigate sexual abuse that my ex-husband performed on my daughter. It is stated that the mother is in fear for her life because of this. Now, we did report this on our very first on the show in which we talked about this incident in question. What we know about Miss Karin Silva was that she went to school at St. Joe. While this is not out of the ordinary, we have known of multiple students who live in Matamoros, who travel and commute every day to get their studies on this side at St. Joe. At the end of the day, if you have enough to pony up the fee, the monthly fee, nobody's going to deny you access to education, especially when you got the money. People have questioned and said, Frankie, you need to talk about this individual's mental state of mind. Something is off there. Now, what we learned from these allegations that were made in Matamoros were that they came back unfounded. Now, it's difficult. It's difficult because you know how it goes in Matamoros. If you have money, you could possibly get away with a crime. Their justice system, their courts are not what they're like on this side in the United States. At the end of the day, Matamoros is the Wild Wild West. We learned that the husband or father of the children was exonerated. They found no credible evidence in regards to this. But something interesting happened. Somebody brought it up to my attention that said she did this for a reason. She did this because she was going to be seeking asylum. Now, again, I'm not an expert in immigration services, but if you Google it, it will come out that says, yes, a person of children. Again, I'm no legal expert. I am just a layperson. But from what I'm about to show you, and again, Googlealo. Can a person seek asylum, protection in another country for sexual assault of children? According to AI, it says, yes, a person can seek asylum based on sexual assault of children, especially if they demonstrate a well-founded fear of persecution upon returning to their home. What did she say? If we go back to the story, Karin Silva says that she was scared for her life. At the bottom, it says, señaló la madre de la supuesta víctima, quien ya se encuentra divorciada, que asegura que teme por su vida y la de sus hijas. The mother of the supposed victim, who is now divorced, stated that she's scared for her life and that of her children. Why were these allegations made in Matamoros? Because she did not have status at that time. Was this a ploy to get citizenship, to get legal status in this country? That's dirty. Again, I cannot confirm 1,000%, but it's out there. And someone did state that's a reason why these allegations were made. So, this individual did not have legal status back in 21, 22. How did she get a job? How did she get a job? Well, it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, that she did have permission to work. On Tuesday, an ICE official, an ICE spokesperson said that Karin Aisha Silva Cisneros entered the United States on a non-immigrant visitor visa, a visitor, temporarily. That is given to individuals whenever they lose a family member. They request, hey, I want to pay my respects. Give me a month. Give me 2 months. Please. And there are many variables for this. But according to ICE, she entered on a non-immigrant visitor's visa with permission to stay until July 19th, 2024. We're about to reach the year in which that date expired. So ultimately, Silva violated the conditions of her admission by overstaying the issued visa. You following me, chat? Are you with me? People request work permits to make a living. And there's different types of permisos, permission to be in this country. One is a work permit. Another one is a visitor's visa that is only temporarily. So now we ask the question, chat. What's going to happen to the owner? Did the owner know that her employee was just on a visitor's visa? Santana, yesterday you posed a question. What about the I-9 form? Why is this important? Because the I-9 form, ladies and gentlemen, is known as the Employment Eligibility Verification Form. This is a form, it's a United States Citizenship and Immigration Services document, which is used to verify the identity, to identify employment authorization of individuals who are hired here in the United States. So we beg the question, did the owner know that her employee was in this country on a visitor's visa that expired July 19th, 2024? So you see where we're getting at? When was this individual hired? Did she submit a I-9 form? What did she present? Fake documents? And the reason why I ask this, ladies and gentlemen, is because we talked about how the bakery in Los Fresnos, how the owners, husband and wife, were arrested for harboring and employing undocumented workers. And they were quick. They arrested the owners on that same day, if I'm not mistaken, on the day of the raid. Santa Fe adult daycare está peor. Employees don't take care of the viejitos. Same thing happened in Santa Fe daycare. They left 2 viejitos in the van. Please, anonymous. I have my mother in Santa Fe adult daycare. So many questions arise from this incident, ladies and gentlemen, because according to ICE, this individual was in the United States unlawfully. She overstayed her visitor's visa. How long was she working for? How long was she employed? How much was she getting paid? Was she getting paid in cash, or was she getting paid by the book? Why are we talking about this? Because many people are requesting, no, that's a bad word, are demanding that the owner of this Learning Club preschool be charged with neglect. Because at the end of the day, she is responsible for her employees. And at the end of the day, she is responsible for the lives, for the safety and well-being of every child that walks through those doors. It's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, how this unraveled very quickly. Was this a a favor. Hey, hire my comadre, my shouts out to Nat Perez. He's a heck of an attorney. But we need to ask the question, what's going to happen to the owner? Is she going to face criminal charges? Because according to the defense team, in which we covered yesterday on yesterday's story, they state that it was not only those two women responsible for the children, but others. What are they alluding to? The owner. And that is the job of the defense team. The job of the defense team is to blame other people, to raise doubt. Because right now, the position that this lady on the screen is not looking good. Because being charged with injury to a child causing death is a second-degree felony. And that is very serious. It's a 2 to 20. So at this point, Karin Silva's defense team, they're swinging for the fences because they know that this woman has an uphill climb in her criminal case and her immigration case. Because as we know, once the defendant fulfills the sentence of whatever happens in her case, she's going to get deported. And having a second-degree felony and overstaying your visa, there's no way. And again, I guess never say never, but her chances of getting citizenship, of getting permission to be in the United States are gone. One, she overstayed her visa. She broke the law, essentially. And two, she's being charged with a second-degree felony, injury to a child resulting in death. And these are things that we don't know, Hope, because according to a concerned citizen, they said it's the responsibility of the owner, of the director or assistant director. Were they at the establishment? And if they were, what did they do? Why did they do a head count? Why are the driver and the co-pilot, why are they being held responsible? So I pose you the question, Brownsville. Make America great again. Say it twice. Say it loud enough for the people in the back to hear you, Ventuno. So I pose to you the question, ladies and gentlemen. We now know that Karin Silva broke the law by overstaying her visitor's visa. I think we can all agree, and everyone is demanding for the owner to also be charged with a crime. But will they close down her establishment? Will IRS come? Will Homeland Security pay a visit to the establishment and look at the documents? If ICE made a statement saying that this individual was in the country unlawfully, they're going to go to the owner and say, hey, let me see that application. Let me see that I-9 form. You see where we're getting at, ladies and gentlemen? This death, this tragedy of a 4-year-old opened up a can of worms. And this will be the example for all daycares, including children and adults. Because adult daycares, essentially, they're just like children. We anticipate that the owner will be facing penalties. In the very near future. What do you think about this, Brownsville? What do you think about this, Cameron County? Should the owner be charged with the crime? It just gets worse and worse and worse. The more we dig. There's a lot there, ladies and gentlemen. A lot there that are going to come out. A lot more information is going to come out in regards to this case in the very near future. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Frank Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Peace.